Hello, kiddos. Here is your primer for the Articles of Confederation unit. Articles of Confederation primer. After the Declaration of Independence, America needed a government to replace the British during and after the Revolutionary War. All of the states already had state governments, but they wanted to be somehow united while still holding on to the powers each state enjoyed. Many states were afraid that if the national government was strong, like it had been under the British, that the new government would end up depriving the states and the citizens of their rights. States were especially worried about taxes, soldiers, and other states, or the national government being able to push them around. With all of these experiences, fears, and memories, the states decided to make a weak national government that would do just enough, only what the states would not be able to do alone. This new government was called the Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation created a government that only had one branch or part, the legislature. There was a Congress made up of representatives from all of the states, but no president or vice president, the executive branch, to enforce the laws or make sure they were followed, and no judges, judicial branch, to interpret the laws or make sure they were appropriate for any new situations or conditions that might come up. The legislature, or Congress, created and passed laws with one vote per state to try and be equal and fair. Larger states with more people wanted more power, but smaller states demanded one vote per state to protect themselves from being run over or pushed around. Another way the Articles of Confederation protected the states was to make any law require 9 states to pass out of the 13, and it took a unanimous vote, all 13 states, to amend or change the Articles. The Articles had a lot of weaknesses. It turned out that without a way to raise taxes, the government was in a lot of debt from the war. Sometimes a state would not follow the laws that were passed by the National Congress, and there was no way to make a state follow the rules. Some states even made their own deals with other countries and printed their own money, so things got very confusing for everyone. Even when the National Congress passed a treaty with another country, some individual states would just ignore the law and do their own thing. Shays' Rebellion really showed how bad it could be. When farmers picked up their rifles and pitchforks and shut down courthouses all over the North, the states, especially Massachusetts, appealed to the national government for help. But the Articles prevented the national government from having an army unless there was a war. Even if there would have been an army, the Articles prevented one from marching against other Americans, and there wasn't any money to pay for soldiers anyway. Shays' Rebellion was not a good result, and it made people get scared or angry enough that they decided changes had to be made. As weak as the government was, and as many problems as there were, the Articles of Confederation did have a couple big accomplishments. First, America beat the British and won the Revolutionary War under the Articles of Confederation. The other really good thing that happened was the Northwest Ordinance. The Northwest Ordinance made it possible to finally use all of the land in the Ohio Valley that was off limits after the French and Indian War. The area included Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. This land was organized into townships that were 36 square miles. Each of these cities or townships was then divided into 36 smaller parts that were sold to families or farmers in the other colonies. The money from these sales helped pay off some of the debt to the national government, and it also helped education. When those 36 plots of land were sold in every township, the money from one plot would be set aside to pay for a school for that township. So these new towns got schools without having to pay for them through taxes, which was a pretty good deal.